My brother walked off with the house and 80 grand while I got 5,000 after caring for dad. Am I crazy to think they cheated me out of my share? I'm sitting here typing this out because I honestly don't know what to think anymore. My family's imploding over my dad's inheritance, and I feel like I got completely screwed. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if I've got every right to be pissed off. Here's the whole mess. Bear with me, it's a lot. My dad passed away about 3 months ago. It sucked. He'd been sick for a while, lung cancer, the kind that creeps up slow then hits hard. My mom's still around, but she's not exactly the backbone of the family, you know? She just goes along with whatever's easiest. Growing up, it was always me, my older brother Wyatt, and our parents in this creaky old house about an hour outside the city. The place isn't fancy, peeling paint, a porch that sags on one side, but it's got land, and it's worth something. That's where the trouble starts. Dad's will got read a couple weeks after the funeral. Me, Wyatt, Mom, and Wyatt's wife Maya were all crammed into this stuffy lawyer's office. I wasn't expecting some Hallmark movie moment, but I figured it'd be fair, you know? Split down the middle, like normal people do. Nope. Turns out, Dad left Wyatt the house, most of the savings, about 80 grand, and this old truck he loved. Mom got a small chunk to live on, which makes sense since she's not working anymore. Me? I got 5 grand and some random stuff from the garage, like his old tools and a busted lawnmower. 5 grand. Out of all that, I just sat there, staring at the lawyer, waiting for him to say it was a mistake. Wyatt's got this smug little grin, Maya's nodding like she expected it, and Mom's fidgeting with her purse, avoiding my eyes. I didn't flip out right then. I'm not that guy, but inside, I was boiling. 5 grand. After everything, I had to get out of there, so I mumbled something about needing air and bolted to my car. Been stewing on it ever since. Here's why I'm so mad. For years, I was the one showing up. When Dad got diagnosed, I was 26, just starting out at this warehouse job. Decent pay, but long hours. Still, I drive over every weekend to take him to chemo, sit with him when he was too tired to talk, even mowed that damn lawn when he couldn't anymore. Wyatt? He'd pop in maybe once a month, tops. He's 32 now, got a cushy office job, lives 2 hours away with Maya and their kid. He'd show up with coffee, act like he was doing us a favor, then leave after an hour. Mom would gush over him like he'd cured cancer himself. Oh, Wyatt's so busy. It's sweet he made time. Meanwhile, I'm unclogging their gutters in the rain. It wasn't just when Dad was sick, either. Back when I was 22, their roof started leaking bad. They didn't have the cash to fix it. Dad's business had tanked years before, some failed hardware store, and Wyatt sure wasn't chipping in. So I took a week off work, borrowed a buddy's ladder, and patched it up myself. Saved them thousands. Dad kept saying, "You're a good kid. I owe you." Once, when we were alone on the porch, he even told me, "This house'll be yours someday. You've earned it." I didn't think much of it then, just figured he was being sentimental. Now I'm wondering if he meant it, or if I was dumb to believe him. Wyatt's always been the golden boy, though. He's got that charm, you know? Tall, loud laugh. Tells stories like he's the star of every one. Mom eats it up. Dad wasn't as obvious about it, but he'd let Wyatt slide on everything. When we were teens, I'd get grounded for a month if I mouthed off, but Wyatt could skip school and Dad would just shrug. Boys will be boys. I don't think they ever saw him as the slacker he is. He's just good at looking like he's got it together. Then there's Maya. She's 29, been with Wyatt for like 6 years. She's one of those people who's always got an opinion, even when no one asks. Pushy, kinda nosy, but she hides it behind this fake sweet smile. When they got married, I thought she was fine, brought cookies to family stuff, seemed nice enough. But over time, I noticed she's got Wyatt wrapped around her finger. If she wants something, he's on it. I'm pretty sure she's part of why this inheritance mess happened, but I'll get to that. After the will reading, I drove home to my place, a little rental about 20 minutes from Mom's. My wife, Lauren, was waiting. She's 30, works as a nurse, and she's got this no-nonsense vibe that keeps me grounded. I told her everything, pacing the kitchen while she chopped veggies for dinner. 5 grand, she said, knife pausing mid-carrot. Are you kidding me? After all you did. She was pissed, maybe more than me. Lauren's not greedy, but she's big on fairness. She kept saying I should confront them, demand answers. You can't let this slide, she said. They're walking all over you. I didn't want to deal with it yet. Confronting Mom feels like kicking a puppy. She'd just cry and say she doesn't know anything. Wyatt would play dumb or get defensive, but Lauren wouldn't let it go. Next day, she's texting me at work, "Call your brother. This isn't right. I love her, but it's stressing me out. I don't want to turn this into some big family war, though maybe it already is." A week later, I went to Mom's to pick up the garage stuff Dad left me. The house smelled like it always did, old wood and coffee. Mom was in the kitchen, baking cookies like nothing's wrong. I asked her straight up, "Why'd Dad do it like this? Why'd Wyatt get everything?" She froze, then started rambling about how Dad thought it was best and Wyatt needs it more because he's got a family. I pushed harder. "What about me? I was here, Mom." Wyatt barely showed up. She got teary, said she didn't want to fight, and shoved a plate of cookies at me like that'd fix it. I left with a box of rusty tools and no answers. Then I found something that made it worse. In the garage, buried under some old tarps, was a stack of Dad's papers, bills, receipts, random notes. One was a letter, handwritten, dated 4 years back. It said, "To my boys, Wyatt and me, I want you to split the house and land even. You've both got a place here." My name was right there, clear as day. I stood in that dusty garage, heart pounding, reading it over and over. So what the hell happened? Why'd he change it? I called Wyatt that night. He picked up, all casual, like nothing's up. "Hey man, how you holding up?" I cut the crap and asked about the letter. He got quiet, then said, "I don't know anything about that. Dad probably wrote a bunch of stuff he didn't mean." I told him about the will, how it wasn't fair, how I'd been there when he hadn't. He got snappy real quick. "Look, I didn't write the will. Dad wanted me to have the house. Maybe he saw I'd take care of it. You're not exactly Mr. Responsible." That stung. I'm not perfect, but I've busted my ass for this family. He hung up after saying he didn't want to argue. Lauren heard the whole thing. She was next to me on the couch, and she was fuming. "He's full of it," she said. "He guilted your dad into this, I bet. Or Maya did. She's convinced they messed with Dad when he was sick, maybe when his memory started slipping. I don't want to believe that, but it's nagging at me now." Next day, Maya called. First time she's ever called me direct. She started with this syrupy, "I'm so sorry you're upset," bit. Then said, "Wyatt's just trying to do right by your dad's wishes. We need the house. Our apartment's too small for the kid." I asked why that means I get nothing. She got all huffy. "It's not nothing. 5 grand's a lot. Maybe you should be grateful instead of making this a problem." I hung up on her. Grateful? For scraps? Things got weirder at Thanksgiving. Mom insisted we all come to the house. First holiday since Dad died. I didn't want to go, but Lauren said it'd look bad if I skipped. So we show up, and it's me, Lauren, Mom, Wyatt, Maya, and their 3-year-old running around. The house isn't even Wyatt's yet. Mom's still living there, but he's acting like he owns it. Talking about fixing it up and maybe selling later. Maya's chiming in, pointing at the walls like, "This looked good with new paint." I'm sitting there, sipping my beer, feeling like a guest in the place I grew up. Dinner was tense. Mom kept trying to play peacemaker, babbling about how family's what matters. Wyatt barely looked at me. Maya kept shooting me these little smirks, like she's daring me to say something. Lauren noticed too. She squeezed my hand under the table, like, "Don't lose it." But then Wyatt dropped this bomb. He goes, "Oh, by the way, we're moving in next month." Mom's cool with it. Mom nodded, all nervous. I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Moving in? So you get the house now too? What's left for me, huh?" He rolled his eyes. "Dude, chill. It's not like you're homeless." I lost it. Not yelling, but I laid it out. How I'd been there, how Dad promised me stuff, how 5 grand's a slap in the face. Mom started crying. Maya jumped in, saying I'm selfish and ruining the day. Wyatt just stared at me like I'm trash. Lauren tried to back me up, but it was chaos. We left early, drove home in silence. Lauren's still mad at them, but now she's worried I'm gonna burn every bridge. Since then, Mom's called twice, begging me to make peace. Wyatt texted once, "Sorry you feel that way, but it's done." Maya's been posting pics on Instagram of the house, captioning it stuff like "new beginnings." I'm over here with a box of junk and a letter that doesn't mean anything anymore. I keep thinking about that letter. Did Dad change his mind? Or did Wyatt and Maya push him when he was too sick to argue? He was foggy near the end. Chemo messed with his head. I remember visiting once, maybe 2 years ago, and Wyatt was there, talking about how tough it is raising a kid. Did he plant the idea that he needs more? Or am I paranoid? Lauren wants me to lawyer up, see if I can fight the will. I looked it up on Reddit one night. Turns out it's hard to contest unless you've got proof of coercion or something. That letter's all I've got, and it's not legal. Plus, I don't have the cash for a lawyer anyway. Warehouse pays decent, but not sue your family decent. I'm stuck. If I push harder, Mom will break down, Wyatt'll cut me off, and I'll be the bad guy. If I let it go, I'm swallowing this giant pile of unfairness for the rest of my life. I see that house every time I close my eyes, the porch I fixed, the yard I mowed, and now it's Wyatt's. He didn't earn it. I did. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Am I the jerk here? Should I just suck it up and move on? Or am I right to feel like I got robbed? I don't even know anymore. Update. This is what has happened since then. So, it's been about 10 months since that whole inheritance blowout, and I figured it's time to fill you guys in. A lot's gone down. Some of it's better, some of it's way worse, and there's a new mess I didn't see coming. I'm still kinda reeling. So here's where things stand with me, Lauren, Wyatt, Maya, and Mom. After Thanksgiving, I didn't talk to Wyatt or Maya for weeks. I was too mad, and honestly, I didn't trust myself not to say something I'd regret. Lauren kept pushing me to do something, anything, but I just couldn't deal with it yet. Mom called a bunch, leaving these shaky voicemails about how we need to stick together, but I'd let them sit there unanswered. The house thing was eating at me. Knowing Wyatt was moving and made it feel like I'd lost more than just money or stuff. It was like losing Dad all over again, and this time it was personal. Then, around Christmas, Mom showed up at my place unannounced. Lauren was at work, so it was just me, stirring some instant coffee in our tiny kitchen. Mom looked rough, puffy eyes, hands trembling a little. She sat on our couch and started crying, saying she didn't mean for things to turn out like this. I asked her again about the letter I'd found, the one where Dad said the house was supposed to be split even. She got real quiet, then admitted Dad had talked about it years ago, but Wyatt convinced him otherwise. He said he'd fix the place up, make it a home for his family, she mumbled. Your dad thought you'd be fine without it. I wasn't fine. I told her that, calmly but firm. She didn't fight me, just nodded and said she'd talk to Wyatt. I didn't hold my breath. Sure enough, a few days later, Wyatt called, all pissed off. Why are you dragging Mom into this? She's stressed enough. I told him I wasn't dragging anyone. He was the one who'd swooped in and taken everything. He laughed, this bitter little scoff, and said, "You're jealous. Always have been." Then he hung up. That was it. Radio silence from him after that. Lauren and I spent the holidays alone, our first without family. It wasn't awful, just quiet. We got a little tree, watched some dumb movies, but I could tell she was worried about me. I'd catch her staring when she thought I wasn't looking. She stopped pushing the lawyer idea, though, which was a relief. We didn't have the cash anyway, and I wasn't about to drain our savings on a long shot. Fast forward to spring, about 5 months after the will reading. Wyatt and Maya moved into the house with their kid. Mom's still there too, technically, but she's basically their live-in babysitter now. I heard this from a cousin who swung by once. Wyatt's got her cooking and watching the kid while he's at work, and Maya's decorating. The peeling paint's gone. They've redone the porch, put up new shutters. Looks nice, I guess, from the pics Maya keeps posting online. Every time one pops up on my feed, it's like a punch to the gut. That was my porch. I fixed it. Now it's theirs. I couldn't avoid them forever, though. In June, Mom guilted me into coming over for her birthday. Lauren said I should go, for closure or whatever. So I went, alone, because Lauren didn't want to deal with Maya's fake smiles. Walking into that house was surreal. The walls were a different color, there was new furniture, and it smelled like some fancy candle instead of old wood. Wyatt greeted me like nothing was wrong, clapping me on the shoulder like we're best buds. Maya hugged me, all sugary, saying, "So glad you made it." I wanted to puke. Dinner was awkward as hell. Mom kept the chatter going, but Wyatt and Maya acted like they owned the damn place, which, I guess, they do now. At one point, Wyatt mentioned selling the truck Dad left him. Don't need it, and it's worth a few grand, he said, shrugging. I just stared at my plate. He's cashing out every piece of Dad while I'm stuck with a lawnmower that doesn't even start. I didn't say much, just nodded and ate. Left as soon as the cake was cut. After that, I decided I was done. Not, like, cutting them off forever, but I stopped chasing answers or fairness or whatever. I told Lauren I was letting it go, not because I'm over it, but because fighting was draining me dry. She hugged me and said, "Good. You don't need their crap." We started focusing on us, saving up, talking about moving somewhere new, maybe even starting a family. It felt like a fresh start, or at least a bandage on the mess. But then, about a month ago, this new problem hit. Mom called me in a panic one night, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Took me 10 minutes to calm her down enough to get the story. Turns out, Wyatt and Maya took out a loan against the house. Not a small one, tens of thousands. They didn't tell Mom until the bank started sending notices. She's freaking out because it's still her house too. Legally, she never signed it over fully. Wyatt's name's on the deed with hers, thanks to Dad's will, but she didn't agree to this loan crap. I drove over the next day. Mom was a wreck, pacing the kitchen with these papers clutched in her hands. Wyatt and Maya were out, conveniently, and she showed me the notices. They'd borrowed almost 50 grand, and the payments were already behind. They said it was for renovations, Mom whispered, but now they're talking about selling if they can't keep up. Selling. The house Dad wanted us to have, the one I poured my sweat into, might be gone because Wyatt's too lazy to manage his damn money. I called Wyatt, and oh man, he was a prick about it. "It's not your business," he snapped. "We're handling it." I told him it is my business if Mom's getting dragged down with it. She could lose everything if they default. He just said, "She'll be fine," and hung up. Maya texted me later, all defensive. "We're doing what's best for our family. Stop judging." Like I'm the bad guy for caring that Mom's a mess. Lauren's livid. She says Wyatt's a leech. Always has been. She's pushing me to get Mom out of there. Maybe have her move in with us. Our place is small, but we could make it work. I don't know, though. Mom's stubborn. She won't leave that house, even if it's sinking her. I went back last week to check on her, and she's aged 10 years and 10 months. Bags under her eyes, hands shaky. She keeps saying she doesn't want to choose sides, but Wyatt's screwing her over, and she won't see it. Now I'm stuck again. Part of me wants to wash my hands of it, let Wyatt crash and burn, deal with the fallout. But Mom's in the middle, and I can't just abandon her. The loan thing's got me worried it'll blow up worse. Like, what if they lose the house and Mom's savings get tied up in it? I've been Googling what happens when someone defaults on a home equity loan, and it's not pretty. She could be on the hook too, even if she didn't sign off. Me and Lauren are okay, at least. We're still saving, still planning. She's my rock, keeps me from spiraling too bad. Works steady, and we're looking at houses an hour away, somewhere cheaper. I don't want to be near that old place anymore. It's too haunted now, not just by Dad, but by all this garbage. Wyatt and Maya can have their new beginnings. I just want out. Still, I'm mad. Not just at the inheritance anymore, but at how Wyatt's turned into this selfish a-hole who doesn't care who he hurts. Mom's a casualty now, and I'm the one picking up pieces again. Am I wrong to want to step back and let them figure it out? Or am I a jerk for not fighting harder to save Mom from their mess?
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.